wanted to make sure we maintain the public component. And so we stream all these live to YouTube so anyone from the public can tune in and observe the hearing if they would like. Last thing I need to do is just read through our hearing script. This basically will just cover the procedure for the hearing. And then we will, jump right into the talking about the application. So this is the November 3rd, 2021 session of the Zoning Hearing Examiner docket. My name is David Sturkey. I'm the Zoning Hearing Examiner for the City of Cincinnati, and I will preside over this hearing. The case before us today is case number ZH20210158. The purpose of this hearing is to allow applicants and opposing parties to testify and to offer and refute evidence and testimony. This hearing will follow the rules found in the zoning code and the supplemental rules of the Zoning Hearing Examiner. All testimony and evidence that an applicant or any opposing party wishes to offer must be presented at this hearing, unless a party has submitted evidence or testimony in the form of writing prior to this hearing. The hearing will proceed as follows. The applicant, the applicant's attorney, or the applicant's agent will first present the applicant's case. If there were anyone here from the public, they would then have an opportunity to speak after the applicant had presented its case. I'll give our zoning plans examiner, Walt Moeller, an opportunity to provide any testimony that he would like. In the event that any party testifies or offers argument in opposition to an application, the applicant shall have an opportunity to rebut that testimony and or argument offered in opposition. And then finally, the applicant will have an opportunity to make a closing statement. So for our purposes here today, Mr. O'Malley or Ms. Hilbert, I'll allow you to tell me a little bit about this application, why you think it's appropriate, why I should grant this relief. You guys can orient that however you would like. One or both of you can speak in whatever order you would like. I'll give Walt an opportunity to weigh in. I'll ask some questions, and then we'll close the hearing. After all presentations have been made, I'll close the hearing. Decisions may be expected within 2 weeks. I may limit or exclude any testimony that I deem irrelevant or outside the scope of the application being considered. I may interrupt any speaker to ask questions or to make any comments. I may also refuse to consider hearsay testimony or documents. That's generally evidence you want to introduce that consists of statements made by someone who's not present at this hearing. In the event of any technical difficulties or unforeseen circumstances with our video conferencing technology, I'll do my best to troubleshoot those on the fly, but to the extent there's some defect that prevents us from meaningfully going forward with the hearing, I may continue or postpone the hearing at my discretion. Okay, the last thing I need to do is just swear in all of our witnesses. And so if you intend on providing any testimony, making any statements, asking any questions, doing anything other than just strictly observing, then you need to be sworn in. So it looks like everyone has their right hand raised. I need everyone to just answer out loud. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes,
I do.
Okay, great. Thanks, everyone. So who'll be taking the lead here on the presentation of the applicant's case?
Mr. O'Malley will be doing that.
Okay, great. Mr. O'Malley, the floor is yours.
So I'd like to thank everyone for attending today. This project is the years-long culmination of an effort by the Belvedere to expand their parking offerings. It's a pretty simple project. It's parking lot. Parking lot is going to be right next to an existing parking lot that's also owned by Belvedere. Currently, the Belvedere has 83 residential units and a total of 61 dedicated parking spaces. 29 are at the front of the building, 32 are in the existing parking lot that I described across the street, across Clinton Hills. So the new parking lot is, the proposed parking lot would add an additional 17 parking spaces, bringing the total to 78. So we wouldn't have exactly 83 spaces for 83 units, but it would get a little bit closer, close that gap. Its location along the thoroughfare of Clinton Hills is entirely appropriate. This is a busy street. This is exactly what the 2012 Cincinnati plan recommends, is locating clustered parking along, busy streets, thoroughfares. In addition, we're not adding a kind of new use. Like I said, there's an existing parking lot right next to it. In addition, I think it's fair to say that the neighbors would prefer this parking be located along that thoroughfare rather than along side streets. Really, for a long time, the neighbors have complained about on-street parking, sort of, encroaching into the side streets, this will provide some relief. The project does have the support of the North Avondale Community Council. They are very much in favor of it. And so, you know, not only are we trying to relieve congestion, we're also trying to provide what we consider to be a handsome addition to the neighborhood. We have taken a bit of care to propose a nice front gate, a nice aluminum gate. The aluminum will continue all along the front elevation, and then to the side and to the rear, we'll wrap that with a black vinyl fence. Per code, for zoning code, we are adding a couple of trees in the front, as well as some tall arbor vitae bushes to the rear, some small bushes to the east side, and then to the west side will be grass. The design is in compliance with the zoning code, as indicated by the staff report. There's other parking lots in the area. And with the landscaping and nicer front gate, we believe the project will limit any adverse effects on the immediate neighborhood. So we ask for you to approve this project. Peg, did you want to make any additional comments?
No, I would just emphasize the need for this for the Belvedere. It's one of the oldest condominiums in Cincinnati, if not the oldest. And in its inception, in the early 80s, this parking issue was not as prominent as it has become. So we're trying to maintain property values and assure that for the most part, people will be provided with off-street parking.
Okay, great. Thank you. Walt, anything you'd like to add?
Oh, no, I think he summed it up really well. Did a great job. We did work on this project, as he said, for several months. I know he was involved prior to that, but I think we came to a pretty good conclusion here where how they're going to put the trees up, the fence, and so we're supporting this.
Okay,
great. And one thing I would just, sorry, if you don't, would it be okay if I just add one thing?
Yeah, of course.
I didn't mention it, it's more of a technicality, but the gate is not going to be mechanically operated in any way. The intention of the gate is for it to be opened at 6 a.m. and to remain open throughout the course of the day, and then to be closed in the evening at 11 p.m., more or less. That more or less aligns with the schedule of the valets. In addition, I think it's important to note that the parking, the way that the parking works is that valets at the Belvedere, they actually drive the cars over to the lot. So you're not going to be having people that are unfamiliar with the traffic there, that are new to the area. In terms of introducing additional risk, you're going to have professionals who are familiar with all of this, who are handling the cars. I think it's just worth noting that I think would minimize some of the risk of introducing a parking lot in this location.
Okay. So I don't really have a whole lot of questions. I do think it's a pretty straightforward project. Could you tell me more about the buffering between, because this will be directly adjacent to a residential property, right? Is that a single family home there to the northwest?
No, sir. It was a multifamily. However, I've spoken to code enforcement. There was a terrible fire there 2 years ago, and I believe the property has been condemned. I spoke to Kevin Rhodes, and he said that it is on the schedule for demolition. So it's not an issue to that, for that reason, I think.
Okay. That's good to know. But there are some steps for some buffering, some landscaping along that, that northwest side of the parcel there.
At the moment, we are showing grass along that. There's not any additional buffer besides grass at that location.
Okay, grass.
There is, however, sorry, and to clarify, There is, however, buffering, and I think this might have even been code mandated. We are showing buffering between the two parking lots. So there are some small bushes that are going along that east edge, which is on the bottom of the page.
Okay. All right. I really don't think I have any other questions. Did you by any chance present this to the community council for the North Avondale Neighborhood Association?
Well, when this was first envisioned, believe it or not, it was pre-COVID. And I did speak to the association at that time, and they were extremely enthusiastic and very disappointed when we didn't go ahead right away. Since this project began, they have been having virtual meetings. I called the president of the NANA Association, Heather Hill, and she once again expressed their interest in, support of, and hope for this parking lot to be created with the landscaping and the improvements that we've already described.
All right. Anything else in closing or otherwise? Anyone would like to share before we adjourn here today? Looks like Walt would like to add something here. Go ahead.
Oh,
Well, you muted yourself.
Yeah, I did it. There is actually a screen fence. You asked that question. There is a 6-foot high screen fence that is going to go between those two properties.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I thought in the drawings I saw some trees. I'm not sure if those are pre-existing.
Yeah, there's some trees, arborvitaes like you talked about, and then plus a 6-foot high screen fence along that property line.
Okay. All right, great. Anything else, Mr. O'Malley or Ms. Hilbert?
no, thank you.
No, thanks.
All right, great. So yeah, based on the testimony today and the review of the application, I'm going to approve this request. And so I need to formalize that decision in a written decision. And that usually is what takes a little bit of time. And so I aim to have those out within 2 weeks. As soon as I finish those decisions, I put them into a PDF and email them to everybody in the meeting. And so you all will have them just moments after it's complete. As soon as you have that, you can start working with Walt on any necessary permitting from the zoning department. If you have any questions in the meantime, you can reach out to myself or to Walt. And if you'd like an update on the status of the decision, you can email me directly, and I'll be happy to provide you with an update if you would like one. Any other questions right now?
No, sir.
Okay, great. Well, if you do, again, feel free to reach out via email to either Walt or myself. Hope you all have a wonderful day. We are adjourned.